Hey everybody, this is Andre here with the Kevin Breeze channel, and in this video, we're going to be doing a comparison between the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G and the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G. To get more information about the pricing and availability of the devices, or just some general information about the phones themselves, definitely check the link in the description. That being said, let's get started. So the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G has a 6.5-inch TFT display with a resolution of 720p, a PPI of 270, an aspect ratio of 20:9, and a screen-to-body ratio of 81.6%. We got a 13 megapixel front-facing camera here, and it is in a water drop style. The Samsung Galaxy A42 5G has a 6.6-inch Super AMOLED display, also with a resolution of 720p, a PPI of 266, an aspect ratio of 20:9, and a screen-to-body ratio of 84.3%. We have another water drop front-facing camera here that is 20 megapixels. Now overall, display-wise, I would say the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G does have an advantage over the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G in a couple different ways. First of all, it does have a Super AMOLED display versus a TFT display. So with the Super AMOLED, the colors are going to be a lot brighter. Not only that, but it is a tiny bit bigger, 6.6 inches versus 6.5 inches. So there is that. And the overall design does look better too. I don't like either front-facing camera. The water drop design is definitely not ideal. I would prefer a hole punch. The hole punch looks a lot cleaner and more modern. But that being said, the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G at least has a more tolerable looking water drop as opposed to the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G. As you can see here, the water drop is a giant blob in the middle of that top part of the screen, which I really don't care for. Whereas with the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G, it at least looks acceptable. I still would prefer a hole punch, but it does look better. In addition to that, the bezels on the A42 5G are quite a bit thinner. You can definitely see that. And not only the bezels, but the phone itself is thinner. It gives it a much nicer, more modern appearance, whereas the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G has a more cheap, kind of clunky appearance. So overall, display and design-wise, I would say the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G is a little bit better. Now, both of these phones have 128 gigabytes of internal storage with microSD card expansion, which is really great. The system itself even is starting to take up more and more space, so having as much storage as you can is definitely a good thing, especially considering that apps are getting bigger and bigger. You're definitely going to want more space than less. And typically, mid-range phones end up having around 64 gigabytes of internal storage, and these have double that, so that's pretty impressive. So overall, both phones are really great in that department. Now, neither of these phones have wireless charging, but both of them have fingerprint scanners, which is a really nice feature to have, considering a phone like the iPhone doesn't even have one at all. So for the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G, it is right here on the power button, which I think is really hard to beat. By default, the phone doesn't actually wake up when you tap the screen. You have to go into the settings and change that. So assuming that you don't have that setting activated, you're gonna have to press the power button anyway to unlock it. And look what happens when you press the power button with the finger that you have set up with the fingerprint scanner. So as you saw there, you didn't even need to do anything, it just unlocked. So even if you have face unlock or anything like that, it's still not gonna be quite as good as just having the fingerprint scanner on the power button itself anyway. But on the other hand, the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G has a fingerprint scanner right here on the display, which I think, even though it's not quite as fast and convenient functionality-wise, I do think it looks a little bit better. It gives the phone a really modern look, and with how sleek and nice this phone looks as it is, having the fingerprint scanner be on the display really does add to that. And even though I'm not a fan of the front-facing camera design, this fingerprint scanner does make up for it as far as aesthetics go, because I really do like the look of this. Either way, both of the fingerprint scanners are really fast and responsive, and you're not going to have a problem with either of them. Alright, now taking a look at the camera setups of these two phones, the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G has a 48 megapixel rear camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera, a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera, and a 5 megapixel macro camera. The Samsung Galaxy A42 5G has a 48 megapixel rear camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera, a 5 megapixel depth sensing camera, and a 5 megapixel macro camera. So it's really just about the same stuff. Neither of these phones has one feature that the other phone doesn't, so that's really nice. The difference in quality is most likely not going to be very huge either. So these pictures were taken by the rear cameras of each phone. As expected, the quality isn't a whole lot different. I would say the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G does have a slightly better quality image if you look really closely. The colors are a little bit better as well as the details, whereas with the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G, it's still a great image. The colors just aren't as vivid, although the details are really similar. Now, these are the ultra-wide cameras of each phone. I would say they are both equally wide. I don't think one is wider than the other. I do think, again, the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G has a better quality image, just slightly though. I don't think it's a very huge difference. The colors are a little bit better looking and it's a little bit brighter, whereas with the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G, it's still great. The colors just aren't as bright and the details aren't as vivid. But at the same time, it's important to realize that a lot of this could have to do with the display. A Super AMOLED display in general is going to have brighter colors, and although the resolution is the same, this is most likely going to make a slight difference. These pictures were taken with the front-facing cameras. I do think the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G does have a slightly better front-facing camera than the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G. The details on the front-facing camera are a little bit more vivid and the colors are better balanced, whereas the highlights of the picture taken with the front-facing camera of the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G are just a little bit too bright in comparison to the picture taken by the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G. Now, by themselves, I wouldn't say that the difference is huge. Even compared to each other, I wouldn't say the difference is huge, but at the same time, it is there and I can definitely see it. Now for video, both of these phones are able to shoot 4K at 30 frames per second in their rear cameras and 1080p in their front cameras. And the unfortunate thing about this is, although they can shoot in 4K, you can only view these videos in 720p. Not even 1080p. So that is pretty disappointing. But at the same time, it is nice that they're even able to shoot in 4K because a lot of the phones in this range can't even do that. Now internally, the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G is getting 6 gigabytes of RAM with the MediaTek Dimensity 720 5G processor. And the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G is also getting 6 gigabytes of RAM with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 750 5G processor. We ran Geekbench 5 benchmark tests on both of these phones, and as you can see, there is a bit of a difference. The Samsung Galaxy A42 5G is quite a bit faster than the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G, and you're definitely going to see this difference in the performance. Both of them are really good, but the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G is going to be able to do those more high-end activities a little bit better than the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G. Now for basic things like browsing the web, these phones are at the level where the difference isn't going to be that noticeable. But when it comes to something like video editing or gaming, something that involves graphics, or something that involves a higher amount of processing power or RAM, such as multitasking, streaming a lot of content, or heavy social media use, those things are definitely going to run a little bit better on the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G than they would on the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G. But both of them are going to be able to perform pretty much all the activities you would need. It's just a matter of which one is going to be able to do it better. Now that being said, this is not the top of the line, so don't expect Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra performance from these phones because these are mid-level phones. So if you're using a super intensive game and expecting it to run perfectly, it won't. Same thing goes for something like video editing. You might run into some trouble there. If you are performing those activities, you'll definitely want to look at higher end devices. But for the sake of normal activities like browsing the web, using social media, doing a little bit of photo and video editing, in some games, depending on what it is and what the graphics are and all that kind of stuff, these phones are going to run really well for those things. Now these phones have the same battery with a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. You're going to get not only a lot of life per charge, but also a lot of longevity because over time as the battery degrades, With the battery as big as a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, you're not going to see it actually degrade and lose its life as fast as you would with, say, an iPhone that has a 2,815 milliamp hour battery. It's definitely going to last a lot longer. Now, in conclusion, which of these phones is better? Now, this is really close, but I would say the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G is a little bit better. Not only does it have a slightly bigger display, but it also has a much higher quality display with a Super AMOLED versus a TFT display. The colors are going to be a lot brighter and everything is just going to look a little better on the phone. I do think it has a more modern, sleek look than the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G that looks a little thick and a little cheap to me. Even though they're both made of plastic, the materials feel higher quality on the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G. One advantage the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G does have is the fingerprint scanner. I do think this fingerprint scanner is a little bit better because of its placement. But other than that, I would give the majority of advantages to the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G because these phones, for all intents and purposes, have almost the same specs, but the ones that are a little different are better in favor of the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G. That being said, both of them are really great phones. If you're looking for a powerful mid-range device that can run 5G and perform pretty much any daily activity that you would want out of a phone, then these are definitely great options. To get more information about pricing and availability, definitely check the link in the description. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to give a thumbs up and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.